Good afternoon, Shrikant sir. Let's wait for the participants to join and then we'll begin with the session.
Sure. No problem. I'm ready.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll be sharing my slides also
Okay, sure.
after a moment. So can you
Okay.
just enlighten me as to how we are to go about?
Let the participants join in for us. Like most of the students will be joining by 3:30. So when the numbers go higher, then we'll begin with the session. I'll just give a brief introduction of you and then you can continue with the session.
Yeah, and the audience are all students only.
Yes, they're all students from Modern Law College itself. Mostly BLLB first to fifth and LLB.
Okay. I'll be speaking on, hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, our approaches and career in labor laws.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I've given them the title for that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the final lecture of the lecture series organized under the aegis of the Modern Legal Research Center. Today, we have with us Advocate Dr. Shrikant Manegaonkar, sir, who will be talking about the approaches and careers in labor law. So, Dr. Shrikant Manegaonkar, sir, is a specialist in labor laws and industrial relations. Sir has been a practicing advocate at Pune Labor and Industrial Courts and at the Bombay High Court for the past 28 years. Sir's consultancy by the name Manegaonkar and Associates engages in litigations, consultations, and training in labor laws for Indian and multinational companies, along with criminal law and commercial litigation as subsidiaries. Sir is a science, law, and management graduate where he secured first class in the University of Pune in all the degrees. Sir has delivered lectures in England on employment law at the London School of Economics, London, the School of Oriental and African Studies, London, at the University of Maiduguri, Nigeria, and at the People's Institute, Histadrut, Israel, besides pursuing academics at the Birdlitz School of Languages, London. Sir has completed his LLM with flying colors. Sir is a recipient Sir is a recipient of the Settleworth Award Prize from the Bar Council of Maharashtra. Sir also has an MBA in Human Relations to his credit. Sir has worked with numerous companies like Mercedes, Philips, Bridgestone, General Motors, FEV, Vericap, Robbins Myers, Valmont, Inteva, DSM, Alfa Laval, Higher Appliances, Credit Suisse, Dongshin, Koesha, IT companies like Oracle, Craftmade, Fairportal, Wavelet, five-star hotels like Westin, Novotel, Radisson Blu, Bharti Vidyapit hospitals, 20 banks and NGOs and many others as their advocate and labor management consultant. Sir is a visiting faculty in labor and industrial laws at the ILS Law College, Pune. And Sir has authored books and produced TV serials on labor laws. We're very glad to have you here with us today, sir. So over to you. And student, please keep yourself on mute throughout the lecture and please be interactive wherever sir needs you to be. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Asta, for that wonderful introduction of mine. First, only two questions. Am I audible? That's number one.
Yes,
And
sir.
yeah, and the second is that the time which is allotted to me is till 4:30, 3:30 to
Yes, sir.
4:30.
It's from 3:30 to 4:30. Yes.
4:30. Okay. So, friends, we begin. My topic is careers and approaches to labor laws. I'll also explain you the labor laws while we are passing through and what careers people should opt. To be very frank with you, when I was in your class, somewhere in LLB, first and foremost, I never had any intention would be a different thing, but there was nothing outlined and etched in on my brain as such as that I would be a lawyer. In fact, what is to be done in life, this itself was a huge problem in front of me. But then, as time unravels and time has and destiny has got certain things in store with you, things proved out to be very different. And when you decide to be a lawyer, it so happened that one fine morning, I decided that yes, now I have to be a lawyer. LLM and everything was in my bag. A degree from London and career to be made in which law. So to be very frank with you, I just had a stroll in the civil court and that really demotivated me. In the sense, I saw so many lawyers. So from all these lawyers, I would be one of them. Civil litigation, it takes donkey's years for any case to complete. So when will the case come to me? When would I do all these things? And what are the avenues available? In fact, I will call all of y'all a very lucky lot because of two things. First is the avenues in law practice are much more and more than that they were available during my times. And this is one of it. And second is your generation is blessed by one more thing, and that is the internet. In my days, there was no net. Today, all students carry a smartphone, and immediately we ask so many questions to Google, and the answers are very quick with us. And were all the things which were absent during my times, and that's why it was a very perplexing question as to which branch of law I should follow. But then it so happened that I pursued labor laws, and here I decided that I would be opting for labor laws. To be very frank with you, friends, I'm of course going to tell you what is labor law, approaches to labor law, and what careers you can make in labor law. As far as labor law is concerned, today sky is the limit. It only you just have to choose something. And in my days, it was that after you come out of a law college, you either have to go in civil law or you have to go in criminal law, and that's the end of the story. At times, sometimes I feel people are even doing the same things today because they don't know as to what are the other avenues of law and what they have to offer. And I was a first generation lawyer, and I used to go to the bar room with no briefs with me. There was a bag which was with me, which was gifted to me by my father, and of course it was empty. And while sitting in the bar room, I came across a gentleman who was practicing cooperative law as well as civil law. So half the time he used to be there, and half the time he used to be here. And he said that to break the ice amongst and to break the ice and to have the cut the competition with all lawyers, he said that I have opted one thing, the cooperative court as well as the civil courts. Now, this started and made me thinking. I said that if I can again switch on to something like him. So, what I did was, I thought that labor law could be a very viable option because if you have one industry with you, how many workers are there? There are a lot many workers. So, if those many cases are with me, well, I would be basking in the sun, and it would be happily uh, living after ever after. That sort of a life is all. It was a very wild imagination, but then I never knew anything very perfect as to how one is to go about labor law, which I'm going to discuss with you. Just kindly give me a moment, and I'm going to share my screen with all of you all, and I'm going to show you some slides. I hope you can see this, and let me put it on a slideshow. Yeah, I hope everybody can see this. Okay, employment laws practice, and also how to be a better professional, because all of you all have come to a law college and with the sole intention of becoming some sort of a lawyer, whether it is civil lawyer or a criminal lawyer or this and that, and of which I'm going to tell you as to what is the scope and how to be a better professional. Now it so happened that there is a disclaimer before I proceed with the slides, which all of you all should understand. All the contents of these slides are based on stolen and borrowed knowledge, which sophisticated people prefer to call it as research. To be very frank with you, nothing is mine. Whatever knowledge I am giving you is all borrowed. Sometimes you can call it stolen also, here and there. And this is what it makes you. When you open up the Google and hunt for something and you get some information, what are you doing? Ultimately, you are borrowing knowledge from somewhere. So this is the product, and we go still further. Now, this slideshow was basically how can you be a good professional. I mean, it's too huge a program which I'm not going to talk to, but we are going to confine ourselves only with the careers and the approaches in labor laws. And of course, after my 1 hour, there could be a 10-minute discussion also, and your questions, I would be happy to answer them. Now, friends, who can tell you how to be a good professional? I asked my children when I showed them this slide, they got stuck here, and they said that how can you say as to who can be a good professional? And my answer to them was only one a simple answer, which I am telling you also. Do you know who can tell you how to be a good professional? Only a bad professional can tell you. And my children started laughing at me. They said, I mean, this is an ironic way of your humbleness and whatnot things. They had so many wild names to name me. Okay, we go further, friends. Labor law. Today, you just see all over. Whatever you see is just industrialization. In 1947, friends, India and Pakistan became independent, and today India is miles ahead of Pakistan. So, hello, there is some disturbance. Any problem? Hello. Okay. India and Pakistan became independent at the same time, but India today is miles ahead of Pakistan. And then, of course, the credit goes to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, who was the first Prime Minister of India. And we had a dichotomy in a school of thought in those days that Pandit Nehru, who had an aristocratic bent of mind, he said if India wants to progress, it can be only through industrialization. So in the first 5-year plans, you will be knowing that the Prime Minister is the ex officio chairman of the Planning Commission of India. And in the first 5-year plan, all these have big industries came up. Bharat Heavy Electric, Steel Authority of India, dams were built, Nagarjun Sagar, then you are having Bakra Nangal and so on and so forth. And this led to the industrial setup in India. And today we are having a bunch of industries, mushrooming of industries, startups, this, that. And mind well, you require labor laws at every juncture. Now you see, then India ushered into an era of globalization. Globalization has brought to the fore universalization of various issues in commerce, production, trade, and even information technology. Friends, you may be aware that on April 16, 1994, India became a signatory to the GATT Accord. GATT Accord is General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. So we say the world is a small market and it's a small village. And then the commerce and production and trade and technology and everything is going to grow, which it is growing. See, today in India, there are so many companies which I represent. Some are German, some are English companies, some are American companies, some are Dutch companies, some are Turkish companies. And all of these people are coming to India. And you will understand that our Honorable Prime Minister is doing the globe trotting and he is seeking investment in India. India has got land, India has got manpower, but our people don't have jobs. And then that is why you bring capital, they build up an industry, they take their share, we take our share, our people get jobs. So it's a win-win situation. And for all of this, when an industry is started, it goes without saying that you will be requiring labor laws. Let's go further. So the changing face of employment law practice, basically, in foreign countries, labor law, it's not called labor law, it's called employment law. And as I told you, India became a signatory to the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. There was a marked shift in the employment laws and practice. International trade is increasing participation and involvement of other countries. Now you see, I'll be talking with you as students that how come it would affect you? Does anybody know how many industries are there? And whatever are your people saying, some students want to join corporate practice. Where corporate means, where are they going to go? They are again ultimately going to cater to industries. There are big industries, so many industries, and they are going to look after some legal department. Somebody is going to look after mortgage. Somebody is going to look after, say, commerce. And ultimately, there is a bunch of people there. They are called as workers. And the workers, when there are workers, there are bound to be labor laws, and the application of labor law increases. So the first and foremost market for all of the students is the industrial sector itself. Now, the trend of recent labor judgments has shown a marked shift. Employment law and government policies towards management and labor in the changing scenario of socio-economic demands and supply. Everything is changing. As students of labor law, maybe some of you all, I'm sure that you have studied labor laws in your 5 years law course. And what is happening is now, whatever you have studied would be outmoded laws. Tomorrow, there are going to be labor codes which are already in the market. And only we don't have the rules. The moment the rules are made, we are going to have the labor codes codes in operation. Again, repeat, it is labor codes, CODES. And when the labor codes are there, these labor codes are framed by refining the present laws and taking a lesson from the judgments which have been passed by the high courts as well as the various Supreme Courts. Sorry, various high courts and the Supreme Court. And you take a gist of it, and then you have all the judgments at your hand. You refine the law, and the refinements will be applicable today. Because the world is a very small global market. I remember, I mean, when I was of your age, when I had to proceed to London, the first letter which I sent to London, I mean, it took 21 days by post. Now it doesn't require even 21 seconds with the internet. So this all, the internet has affected commerce, and it's a global world. Anything happening in America, in a moment comes to India. And how is it going to affect you? Now you see, in the age of digitalization in all the industrial sector includes various processes. Digitalization means what? Everything today is digitalized. Say you have a camera in your mobile phone. Earlier, there used to be cameras. There were photo reels, a magnetic tape, and then you are having silver bromide, which is pasted on that, and then you click a photograph. That was an age-old photography technique. Today, your camera doesn't have any reel inside. There's no photo reel inside. It's only a chip, and your photos are stored in digitalization, or it's a digital signal which is there. Likewise, this has happened in every nook and corner of life. Say sound, earlier the soundtracks were different. Today it is a digitalized soundtrack. Earlier, film production was also different. Today it is different. So industrialization picked up, digitalization has gone further. Tomorrow, artificial intelligence is knocking on our doors. And when all these things happen, I mean, no more machinery. Trade unions have become jittery in the changing scenario of digitalization. Trade unions, the unions which are represented by the or who are the representatives of the workers, they have become jittery. What will happen to us? I'll give you a simple example. Say in your college, there is an office, and in the office, there were 10 typists. And one fine morning, the college decided that instead of these 10 typists, we'll bring 3 computers. When they brought 3 computers can certainly do the work of 10 typists because cut, copy, paste commands are there, speed is more. Then they can have calculations done in Excel, presentations in PowerPoint, and all of them. But then you don't require 10 people for all of this. You require 3 people, and the office can be managed. What happens to the 7 people? 7 people will be on the road, 7 families will be on the road, and all of this has given signals and very signals of frenzy to the trade unions. Globalization has expanded the demand for legal services, an equal impact on the labor law practice or the employment law practice. Now, globalization has expanded the demand for legal services. I told you, so many of the students in your class, not all are going to become lawyers. Some want to become judges, some want to become professors, some want to, say, practice law. Some are going into corporate, some are going in the government, joining in the government, likewise. But this globalization has impacted to such an extent that there is an impact on the employment law practice also, which is the topic of my discussion. Now, you see, friends, there are some misconceptions and myths about the same. And my endeavor is to clear off the fog in your minds, and especially of all the budding lawyers who are sitting in your class. Basically, you should know where you are going. And if you know where you are going, and if the path is clear, then only you would step on and take up a journey in that direction. Okay. Now you see what are the employment law avenues? Avenues of employment law practice. Employment law fields are much conducive to the skills present day students, law students, and young lawyers have. As I told you, in my days, in order to search a reference or a case law, you have to go all the way in the library. Then you understand that this is the journal. Then you further understand that the journal has been issued to somebody else. So what are you to do? Now we are done away with all these things. What you have to have is only a smartphone, and you press the write the name of the case, and just type something, and then the judgment is in front of you. So the information technology today has mitigated the rigors of legal practice, and finding case laws has become much more easier. See, ultimately, the game of practice depends upon case laws, and this is more so true with employment law. Employment law, let me tell you, when I started with labor laws, and when I was in your class, and then I saw Industrial Disputes Act and this act and Provident Fund and ESI. First, what I did was I cursed the government. Why did you make so many laws? Can't you have a simple code? How much do I have to study? And how will I study? And so on and so forth. So many of the things came. But we go further. Broad areas of employment law practice are litigations in labor and industrial court, as well as high courts. Has anybody thought of it? There are, say, let me tell you, there are some companies which I represent wherein almost there are 5,000 employees. Out of 5,000 employees, 5,000 is a huge score. And out of the 5,000 employees, there are so many of the workers. Sometimes they commit misconduct, sometimes it is something of that sort. So cases are filed, they are terminated, they are sometimes discharged, they are, say, uh, warned, they are censured, they are suspended, they are demoted, they are transferred. So many legal issues. They are victimized that yes, you are acting too smart. So just 1 second. Yes, you are acting too smart. So they are taught a lesson. Workers also on the other hand, they banded together, formed trade unions. Trade unions are of different kinds. You see a political party, it has a trade union. A trade union, Shiv Sena has a trade union. Congress has it. Communist Party has it. BMS is of BJP. HMS is of earlier Janata Party. So many, it's almost an arena of fights and fights and fights. Question is, when there is one union, in some companies there are three unions. And if at all there is a single dispute, and if everybody was to be in the fray, then what would happen? One lawyer is for the management, one is for one union, second for the second union, third for the third union, four lawyers get jobs. And mind well, management practice is a very lucrative practice. Remember, some people, some students I have heard, I mean, they are much more interested. You say you talk about all these broad areas of employment law later. You first tell us, is there some money there? Otherwise, I'm not going to waste my time. Some students, I mean, there's nothing wrong in their expectation. Yes, everybody wants an economic estimate of what he's going to do. But let me tell you, in the employment law, basically it's a misnomer. Labor law. Some people feel labor law is only for dealing with the workers and what workers will have. And first, that too, he has lost his job. How will he pay you? How much will he pay you? They are forgetting about one thing. On the other hand, is our mighty managements. A tussle between workers and the mighty management is a story of haves and have-nots. Just think of a situation: 12,000 rupees a worker earns. I mean, on an average, I will say minimum wages. Minimum wages he earns 12,000, but you are forgetting one thing. That on the other hand, Ratan Tata is having 1,20,000 crores of rupees in his pocket. So such a huge investment is there, huge money is there, and you are going to represent that company. So what you earn is also huge. Okay. And then there are layers. People don't understand litigations. Litigation means at a company level, there is something else. Then there is a departmental inquiry, like while I'm going to explain you. Now, company level, suppose if somebody commits a misconduct, there is an inquiry to be held in the misconduct, which is called as a domestic inquiry or a departmental inquiry. Domestic or a departmental inquiry is what is a departmental inquiry? Departmental inquiry is a mission in the truth. Somebody commits a misconduct, absenteeism is a misconduct, coming late is a misconduct, insubordination, not to listen to the superior is a misconduct, riotous behavior is a misconduct. Then you are having, say, fraud is a misconduct, dishonesty is a misconduct, drinking while on duty is a misconduct. But how are you going to prove the misconduct? There are 26 misconducts, and the latest being sexual harassment of women at workplace. And how are you going to prove the misconduct? The process of proving the misconduct is called as domestic inquiry, which requires knowledge of Evidence Act, which requires knowledge of CPC, which requires knowledge of some case laws. And let me tell you, friends, that there are a bunch of lawyers. Lawyers means whom? Like you and me. They have already passed out from law college and they have only built up their practice in domestic or departmental inquiries. They have offices. In their office, only departmental inquiries go on. Departmental inquiry is a quasi-judicial proceeding. It is like a judicial proceeding. And they are, I am sorry to use the word, but they are minting money. There's nothing wrong in that. So those of you all who think this can be done, one lawyer I remember, he purchased a bigger version of a Maruti van or something. That was his office. It's a mobile office, and he used to go from one company to another company and keep on hopping. And this used to do the full day. Then the next day, you can imagine what would be his earnings. And likewise, so this is also one more arena. Those of you all who want to join that, okay. Then, as you see earlier, industrial courts and high courts. First is labor court. Appeal over the labor court would be in the industrial court. Above the industrial court is the high court. So many judgments are there. I'm sure you have learnt labor law, and then there are so many judgments. Say Bangalore Water Works and Sewerage Board versus Rajappa. It's decided by the Supreme Court. In order to practice labor law, you have to know labor law. And these are only the rungs of the ladder. Somebody practices in labor court and some in industrial court and some in high court and some in Supreme Court. But then you have to know labor law or employment law. Then domestic inquiries, I told you, statutory compliance. Today there is a new breed of people in the market who are called as statutory compliance expert. These experts have a tussle with company secretaries. What do company secretaries do? They have to just check up as to everything is in place. So likewise, these people also say there is payment of wages. What are the rules for payment of wages? What are the forms for payment of wages? Say provident fund is there, where the provident fund is paid earlier to the 15th of the month. Provident fund is applicable only till 15,000 rupees are paid. So all compliances are made of each and every act, and you will understand there is an act, then there is a rule. That is, you see a bare act, you will find the bare act, the sections are there. Then you are having the rules, then you are having the forms. But then this is wandering in the dark, and this is exactly where these compliance experts come into picture. They do a screening of each and every act and find out as to what are the compliances in the simplest possible language. And then once with the internet and with whatever are the software tools available, these people have done all of these things only once. And after that, they are in the open market, do these sort of jobs for so many companies and have a very lucrative practice also. So statutory compliance experts are again different people in law. Maybe some of the names you have not heard also. Then friends, there are wage settlement experts. You must have heard of the old adage, Hamari mange puri karo. The workers, they always want something. Give us wages, give us economic demands, give us welfare demands, give us shoes, give us socks, give us aprons, give us clothes, give us salaries, give us holidays, give us leaves, give us welfare measures, anything they ask. So how to settle a wage settlement? A wage settlement is a very dangerous thing. I'll tell you how. If there are 5,000 employees and the bonus at the rate of say 20% goes not into lakhs of rupees, but into crores of rupees. Once you have the thing going on into crores of rupees, 1% of bonus here and there will make a marked difference of almost a crore of rupees. So there are experts who are well versed in case laws. They know as to what is industry cum region basis principle. They know as to what is Hendrickson's case. They know as to what is Indian Express newspaper's case. Likewise, so they know every case which is there. And then, I mean, this is the aspect of study. And then these people, even lawyers, even in my office, we have a different wing, that is wage settlement. So we participate in the wage settlement and in the collective bargaining, which is to be done with unions. And once we do it with unions, unions as well as the managements, we represent the managements. And one negotiation basically goes on for 6 months. And if it is to go for 6 months, and then the money turnover is too huge. Just today morning, I had a wage negotiation that was, of course, online. And the stakes are too huge. Company is at stake. So one has to study certain things. And this also is a branch of it's almost a branch of employment law. Then is employment law consultants. Who is a doctor ultimately? There are doctors, there are consultants. So there is a today with doctors also, it's an era of specialization. He is an ophthalmologist, he is a pediatric surgeon, he is an ophthalmic surgeon, he is say a gastroenteric surgeon, or even if he is not a surgeon, then he might be a consultant. Same thing with lawyers. Land lawyers are different today, civil lawyers are different, employment lawyers are different, family lawyers are different, cooperative lawyers are different. Every lawyer is having some sort of a specialization. And if at all you have that specialization, what I'm talking is of employment law. There are so many companies. When I was of your age, I had only heard the name of these companies in newspapers. Never dreamt of that I would ever be a lawyer for these companies. But then these companies also have to function. They also want good legal advice. They also want good legal expertise, which you can provide them. I go further. Now you see areas of employment law, conciliation practicing in the office of the appropriate government. Now what is this? There are a bunch of people who operate only in the labor office. Labor office is what? Labor office is a regulatory body over the functioning of labor laws in all industries. Pune has a Pune jurisdiction. So just think, all factories in Pune district, all shops, all theaters, all malls, all gymnasium, all schools, all colleges, everything is going on bigger and bigger. I mean, how many people are under the jurisdiction? Almost everybody. And some people who practice in the labor office do not practice elsewhere, not even in the labor courts. So that is a practice. There are some people. I was fortunate to see some courses, payroll course, certification of say how to have code numbers. Those of you all who are interested can do this. Next is industrial arbitration. Arbitration, you know. Industrial arbitration is just, I'll tell you that if you take a dispute of a rubber industry in front of a judge, does the judge understand anything from the rubber industry? Somebody from the rubber industry only can understand as to how rubber is made, whether it is vulcanized rubber or whether it is not vulcanized rubber. What are the rates of wages available? This, that. And this generally, if at all disputes are referred to arbitration, industrial arbitration is also a very, very big area. Compliances, I just now mentioned it to you. Compliances, they are huge compliances. Factory Act, for example, you have to take up, say, factory maps have to be made. Every year you have to submit returns, fencing, whether it is proper. There are so many industrial accidents which take place. And let me tell you, if at all there is an industrial accident taking place, then the industries suffer. And naturally, if people die, then the question comes of how did he die? So if you don't want all of these things to happen, then you have to have proper compliances. Practice in labor and industrial courts. Practice in labor and industrial courts. Jurisdiction is too huge. All labor issues dealing with a person or a union, collective nature or single nature, people see those who practice in labor and industrial courts have a big arena. Promotion is also there, bonus also, this also, victimization also, victimization and in say Yeah, in utter disregard of the principles of natural justice, everything is under there. I mean, I'm short of time. Otherwise, just a few days back, I delivered a lecture only on what are the unfair labor practices in labor codes. That's it. Then come industrial codes, and here we are seeing all, because it's my duty to tell you as to what are the avenues of practice which are open to you. Practice in High Court and Supreme Court. When you go to the High Court, well, yes, all these, any company which comes from America or England or this and that, and everybody requires a lawyer, let me tell you. So if at all they require a lawyer, why not you? And you can certainly be on their boards, on their empaneled boards, and ultimately plead for them. Same is the case in High Court and Supreme Court. Of course, geography is one thing. You have to be in the city to be appearing in the High Court. Otherwise, your practice is really hampered. Then you see training HR personnel in companies. There are a breed of trainers also. He's completed his law, and what they do is only train people. I had a friend of mine. He used to show me his monthly schedule. Say, in the first week he is at Maruti Suzuki, which is at Manesar in Haryana. Then he said, I am in Kolkata. And the company used to pay him for his flight and his stay and his lodging and boarding and here and there and everything, and plus they used to pay him. Even today, just go to Google and just ask for trainers in some area, and you will see so many trainers are there. Because why so many people are there? Because it's a lucrative sort of a thing. Training HR personnel in companies, you know the labor law, so you can train somebody else. Training a rank and file of trade unions, so many trade unions are there. Trade unions also require expertise, so you can be one of them. I mean, I was fortunate one day, there's a company called Bentler. It's a German company, and I was there, or I am their lawyer. So I just entered the room for wage negotiation, and I was pleased to see a student of mine, and he's a union leader. Of course, he had his own style of creating a bit of a frenzy. He used to carry a revolver with him. At the moment we entered, he kept the revolver on the table just to, I mean, exercise some sort of a threat in disguise. And when he saw me, he was very embarrassed. He kept the revolver with him and he said, sorry, sorry, sir. And all of this thing, you can understand what happens. So then being trade union leaders, if at all you all are trade union leaders, then union to federation and contribution in politics. I mean, you can get trained as far as employment law is concerned. Do you think all these stalwart leaders like, say, Manvendra Nath Roy, even Mahatma Gandhi for that instance, George Fernandez, they were not well versed in labor laws? No, they knew the labor laws very well. So these trade union leaders, you can also opt to be a trade union leader. Has anybody thought that this commodity, that is trade union leaders, is slowly and slowly withering away? Earlier, we had so many leaders, R.J. Kotwal, R.J. Mehta, Manor Kotwal, then Sripad Amrut Dange, N.M. Joshi, so many of them. Who's living today? Nobody. That is the older generation. And the younger generation has to take up the cudgels. And then and moreover, let me tell you, running a trade union is the most profitable business. And it is legal. When you have a wage settlement under the Trade Unions Act and under Section 7 of the Payment of Wages Act, they make an agreement with the company that how many members are there. Every month, this much of an amount will be deducted from everybody's pay packet and transferred it to the account of the company, to the account of the trade union. There are trade unions, I mean, they are too huge. I cannot tell you. And you can be one of them. You can even start your trade union. Okay. Now, job incorporates a legal department. Remember, every company has a legal department. And for your information, these foreign companies which are coming to India, I told you, yours is a lucky generation or rather a blessed one. Because when so many foreign companies are coming to India, there'll be some news for you if I tell you that as far as foreign companies are concerned, the legal budget is 10% of their total company, whatever value. And a company cannot be built in 10 crores and 20 crores. Remember, it requires crores and hundreds of crores. If 10% is the legal budget, just imagine how much they must be paying their lawyers. There have been serials and everything. I have seen that serial Suits, Pearson and Company, and how they pay the lawyers. America is still very strict, and so are all the foreign countries. India is not that, but slowly India is also going online. India is also going to be more stringent as far as laws are concerned. And when something goes haywire or wrong here and there, then people are going to book each other into the courts of law. And again, lawyers are required, and that is why much emphasis and much funding is for the legal department, which I told you it's almost 10% of the value of the company. It's too huge. Who's going to get the money? Ultimately, these students who are sitting in your class, they are going to get it. Then HR practices and their uplift. Now, this is another area. If you know labor laws, personnel managers, HR managers, they go hand in hand. It's like ham and eggs. So both are combined somewhere. So you can have better HR practices in the company, suggest innovations, or rather, there are some lawyers I have seen. Smaller companies don't have an HR department only. So they have a tie-up with the lawyer, and one lawyer becomes or looks after the HR department of 10 companies. 10 companies, let me tell you, friends, 10 companies is huge work. So many things of so many companies, and he has 10 of them is huge work. And naturally, this brings in prosperity with the lawyer also. Company, the only thing is you have to know the law. And after you know the law, you have to understand as to how it operates. Okay. Then, friends, we are having consultancy in HR and IR. Let me tell you, this consultancy is a very sweet thing in the sense it has brought some tantalizing moments in my life. Plus, on the one hand, then we started conducting seminars and this and that. And today, almost all the laws are by heart. And of course, one has excelled and slaved for that. But today, I call you a blessed generation or a lucky generation because everything is in your hand. Do you know how I operate? When you open up the mail, you find so many mails, they have to be answered. So what do I do? Once upon a time, had a steno, call her, give her the dictation, she types it, then whether there are mistakes, and then again, then we send the mail. So that is a long drawn out method. Today, what we do is we all have cell phones. Mail is there immediately there, and then the answer is made. Just a checking of the answer is there, and immediately the mail is shot. So sometimes I answer mails while sitting idle in the court also. Sometimes in the hotel also. Wherever I go, I carry my office with me. That is my cell phone. And of course, then the sedentary office is already there. If I sit in my office, it is for meeting people. But what I'm trying to emphasize on your minds is the HR and the IR consultancy, which people with a law background can be done. Let me tell you what is the level of ignorance of people. Just today morning, I got a call from one of the HR managers in a company. He said, we are making an agreement with somebody. And if you see an agreement under drafting, it states that this agreement is made on, say, for example, the 23rd of June to 2021. So at 23rd June, word was missing. He can write it by hand. So he called me for that. I was busy, so he kept on calling me. Then I called him back and said, what is the matter? He said, this agreement made this dash date. So can I fill that dash in my handwriting? It doesn't change the texture and the color of the agreement itself. And he is asking me whether I can do it. That is the level of people's ignorance. People are so naive. And it is here you can go and help them rather than exploiting them. Okay. Jobs in multinational companies, those who are well versed in labor laws, let me tell you, you will 100% get a job in multinational companies. And multinational companies pay very heavily also. Some people have even been posted abroad. I'd say, for example, I mean, once I conducted a training program for Bank of America. Bank of America is near Oberoi Sheraton, next to the Trident at Nariman Point. And there was an HR manager. And in the next training session, I asked for where is she. They said that she is transferred now. Where to New York. And what did she have as of a qualification? Is only some knowledge of labor laws, an MBA degree to her credit, and then hands-on experience. And then she is now at New York even today, at presently also. Then there are people in your class who do not want to become any of these. They want to become judges. 5 of my juniors are judges in the Maharashtra judiciary. Becoming a judge, of course, it's a personal choice. Circumstances also matter. But then today you will have to follow the rules of the Bar Council also. That is 3 years of practice, and then I believe you have to give an exam. But again, there today, if you see, earlier labor law was an optional subject. Now it's made a compulsory subject. Because everybody, say a sophisticated person may not kill anybody. He knows that killing is a crime. And yet if he kills, that would weigh very heavily on his conscience. So he may not kill, but you cannot guarantee that I will never be promoted I will never be, say, discriminated in my job. I deserve the promotion, somebody else gets the promotion, so I can bring him and book him in the courts of law. And all of these things, then you become judges. Today, I mean, one of my juniors is an additional district judge. Then he can become a district judge also. Likewise, it goes on and on and on. Okay. Then further we go, litigations in employment law, which I have told you, industry. I mean, the list is too huge. I'm purposely not reading as to what is written in the slide. But then you see laws relating to, or some industrial legislations are, and I told you my topic is careers and approaches. Trade Unions Act. How does a trade union function? 7 people are required to form an union. Then there is a constitution of the union. Then there are, say, for example, bylaws could be there. Then there is a say constitutional resolutions are there. Audit is there. Everybody should know this. As students of law, you should be knowing it. Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act 1946. What are standing orders? They are the rules of an organization. You sit in class, there are some rules which are applicable to you. Likewise, when people go into companies, there are some rules which are applicable. These rules are Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act. Industrial Disputes Act. Industrial Disputes Act is the backbone of the Indian industry. There is a full paper on labor laws at your standard. But in Industrial Disputes Act, we see what is an industry, who is a workman, what is an industrial dispute, what are adjudicating machineries, what is a works committee, what is board of conciliation, who is a conciliation officer, what is, say, national tribunal, what is industrial tribunal, then what is a layoff, what is a strike, how many types of strikes are there, what is retrenchment, what are recovery of dues, everything. So this is under the Industrial Disputes Act. Then there are laws related to wages, which again law students should know. Payment of wages. When should the wages be paid? Can I pay it on the 30th of the month? No. Then till when should I pay it? How much are the wages? What are the permissible deductions? Everything. Minimum Wages Act goes with the specific zone. What is my zone? What are the minimum wages? What are the basic wages for skilled, unskilled, highly skilled, whatever is there? Payment of Bonus Act 1965. Payment of Bonus Act. How much bonus is to be given? 20% is the maximum bonus which is payable under the Bonus Act, and 8.33% is the minimum bonus under the Bonus Act. What is allocable surplus? What is available surplus? Everything. So you can use all of these skills and the knowledge of law to excel in life. Then laws relating to working hours, conditions of service. We have the Factories Act. Health and safety provisions are there. Health and hygiene provisions are there. And how long will they wait? What about overtime? Contract Labor Regulation and Abolition Act. For your information, 90% India today runs on contract labor. What is that contract labor? So that we can see sales promotion employees, say selling people, a medical representative or some sort of a representation he makes on behalf of somebody else. So that is again sales promotion. Then is Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act, which we saw. Empowerment of Women, Maternity Benefit Act, Equal Remuneration Act. Maternity Benefit Act, today a woman can get say 26 weeks of leave if at all she is pregnant and if she is to deliver a baby. And laws related to deprived and disadvantaged sections of society. What about bonded labor? What about child labor? We talk and make tall claims as far as child labor is concerned. And today, the laws have not loved the child, but they have lashed the child. So many public interest litigations have been filed, and ultimately, the Supreme Court said that the public interest litigation is not a public interest litigation means PIL. And they said a PIL is not a pill for every ill. Then there are social security legislation such as workers' compensation. Say I'm working on a machine, my hand is stuck, it's cut. Why should the company pay me compensation? What is employee state insurance? It's like an insurance. So I have to have an insured personality. So something happens to me, the insurance company takes care of me. Then what is a provident fund? What is the deduction of a provident fund? Gratuity, how many years of service you have to put? After 5 years of service, then gratuity would be payable. And you see, so on and so forth. I can go on and on and on. Domestic inquiries, I told you, my doctorate itself is in domestic inquiries. So these are all the areas. Remember, statutory compliance experts, I did make a mention, bargaining experts, and say wage settlement experts are there. And it's almost 1 hour I am talking with you, friends, and you have also been great listeners. It's been a delight to talk with you, and almost we are at 4:30 now. And so, employment law consultant. Remember, we after the GATT accord, we had a GATS. GATS is agreement, general agreement of trade in services. So under this services sector, Indian lawyers can go to foreign countries. And if you see the world is a global village, why don't you all have a bigger vision? Why should your consultancy be restricted only to Pune? It can be Bombay, it can be in other countries also. And then everything can easily happen provided you know the right people, right persons, and you go the right way. Okay. So this is what was in 1 hour current approaches to labor law. And in a just in very generally, I mean, let me tell you what I have been able to convey to you is not even 1% of what I feel. Okay. So it's more than that. So we saw as to what are the broad areas of employment of practice, and in whatever is the time available, it was a delight to talk with all of you, and you all of. I mean, I have a big thank you for all of you for having had the patience to hear somebody on labor laws for 1 hour. I mean, when I was in your class, to listen to somebody on labor laws for 1 hour would have been an ordeal for me. But you have exhibited patience also. And these are the broader areas. And I will again repeat. See, people are materialistic also. So if somebody is materialistic, so my answer to them is there's no big money here in the employment law. There is huge money. Big is a smaller word in terms of what I want to say. Knowledge is also there. You can help the society also. You can be a part of the government also. Okay. So I stop here, friends. A big thank you to you once again. And if at all you have any questions, I would be more than delighted to answer them. Okay. Thank
Excuse
you
me,
so
sir.
much. Thank you so
Excuse me,
much.
sir.
One
Excuse me,
second.
sir.
I'll stop
Yeah.
sharing. Let me stop sharing first. Okay.
Okay.
Now I can
Actually,
see
I
you.
have a question.
Yeah. Amit.
In Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Uh, Actually, right now, labor law has implemented in the Lok Sabha. Then
mm,
gratuity, DRS allowance, and housing allowance has
mm.
been totally removed. in the new labor law, according to our right now Lok Sabha, in the implement in the Lok Sabha, and after retirement, you can get more money, and you can get earn money, but gratuity, dearest allowance, and housing allowance have been total removable. Is it right?
No, no, no. I got your question. I'll just reframe the question for you.
Yeah.
The information which you are having is a bit different from the existing reality. What
Okay.
has happened is provident fund and
Okay.
gratuity.
Yeah.
Earlier, gratuity was payable after 5 years. Now, the
Yeah.
present government is going to make it after 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Then, second is provident fund. Provident
Yeah.
fund earlier was paid on some amount, and
Oh,
that amount was, say, sometimes 30%, sometimes 40%
yeah.
of the total wages. I'll give you an example. If 100 rupees is your pay packet, provident fund was deducted on 30 rupees.
Okay.
Now government has made it compulsory that it will be deducted on 50 rupees only.
Yeah.
After deduction, where will the money go? It will go in the account of the provident fund commissioner.
Okay.
You will get interest on that also. When
Okay.
you retire, you will get the money also. It is your money only.
Okay.
But today, your deduction was 30 rupees. Now it is going to become 50 rupees. So 20 rupees, it's going to go to the, provident fund on that 20 is going to go to the provident fund commissioner. So
Okay.
your
Okay.
take home money is less. Your take home is
Yes.
less.
Yeah. Take home
People,
is less.
people have taken what Gautam Buddha said very seriously, that live in the present,
Okay.
and nobody wants to think of the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
Government says no, you have to think
uh,
of the
uh,
future also.
actually,
Otherwise, you see, otherwise wine
indirectly.
and dine. Yeah, Amit, one
Yeah.
second.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people will dissipate the money in wine and dine.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
because he has a good money, he is going to tomorrow eat, say, three non-veg dishes, four non-veg dishes, this,
Yeah.
that, pomp, luxury.
Yeah.
Just go on, be a spendthrift. That should
Yeah.
not be. People should have saved something for the rainy days also, is what the government feels. Otherwise, those people who have spent everything in their lifetime will be on the roads. There are people who are
Yeah.
already on the roads. So
Okay,
that should
sir.
not happen. That is the answer. Yes, yes.
That is the indirect top saving. That is
Yeah,
called indirect. That is one. And sir, second question is mine.
sure.
Uh, is it film industry is comes into the labor law act or an employment act?
Yes,
Film.
yes. All
Yes.
see, there is a spot boy. There
Yeah.
is a producer who is his employer. Employer is somebody who gives the money and keeps him in his employment.
Okay.
And I am the person. I am a
Yeah.
spot boy, for example, or I am a cameraman.
Yeah.
So I should be paid. There are two types of cameraman or any spot boy.
Okay.
I will say I am in your employment or I am a
Okay.
freelancer. In a
Yeah.
freelancer, there is no security of employment. If I am in a
Yes,
job,
sir.
some people think that there is a security I am having. But
Okay.
then all the labor laws are applicable. Minimum wages are there. There are wage boards made only for film industry people. So likewise, the wage fixation is there. So all of them, yes, film is an industry, no problem.
Uh, but sir, actually, there is certain problem in this film industry. But
Yeah.
drugs addiction is not good for anyhow. Uh,
Hmm.
that is handled by the labor law. Actually, some artists taking the drugs, so
Hmm.
hurt our culture, hurt
Hmm.
our
Yeah.
destroy our traditions. Then
Hmm.
you can say that is a bad image from throughout the world.
See,
Yeah,
when you mentioned that there's a film industry,
yeah,
so two things are very certain. There is going to be a hero also, and there's going to be a villain also, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
If at all somebody is found under the influence of drinks or drugs, that happens to be a misconduct under the labor laws.
Yes, yes,
I told you under Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act, there are 26 misconduct. So this should be one
yeah,
of them.
yeah,
And if at all he's committed a misconduct, you have to hold a departmental inquiry or a domestic inquiry, which I
yeah,
showed it to you in
yeah.
one of the slides. And then you
Actually,
can throw him out of the job also.
yeah, yeah,
After you throw him, where will you go? Again, he'll go to the labor court and the industrial court. And this is exactly the topic of my discussion, that when he
yeah,
goes there, two lawyers are required. And
yeah.
these lawyers are from your class only.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the future is bright for everybody.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you
yes,
so
yes.
much.
Anybody in the class? Anybody
Yeah.
else in the
Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
class?
Yeah.
I see
Yeah.
another hand
Yeah.
raised. Yogesh, you can, if there's any question.
Yes, yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, Yogesh.
I have a question whether layoffs are legal or not, because in IT companies or there are many layoffs. No, there could be a reason, there could not be a reason. Under the performance of a company, there are layoffs. Are they legal?
See, layoff as is understood in Indian parlance is different. Layoff is a definition under section 2 triple L of the triple K of the Industrial Disputes Act. Layoff in India means something else. Layoff in America means something else. It's become a fashion. We all have Western influences. We say that in say General Motors in United States of America, 1,500 people were laid off. Is not the laid off means termination there. That is not the meaning of the word layoff in India. In India, layoff means a temporary stoppage of work for the absence of power, absence of raw material, coal, electricity, load shedding, all of them. So all my workers come to work in my factory and I say, "Arey, load shedding is there, so abhi kam nahi de sakta." So they all sit down. They sit down for 2 hours, and what will they do? They'll do nothing. And then the management says, "We are laying you off." Once they lay them off, they have to be given a layoff compensation. And the layoff compensation is 50% of the basic as well as the dearness allowance. And I'll make it simple also. So if 100 rupees is the daily wage of a person, and if the company thinks of giving him a layoff compensation, that comes to only 25 rupees. So the company saves 75 rupees. And then, of course, it has to be for the reasons mentioned, that there is shortage of power and shortage of coal and raw material. Now you see what happened in the pandemic. The supply chain lines were broken. Interstate you cannot travel, intercity you cannot travel. So how will the goods go from one place to another? So the goods cannot go from one place to another. So if at all I am an employer, what if goods are in my godown only? What will I do again producing more goods? So I tell my workers that, I mean, there is a shortage of raw material. I don't get raw material also from elsewhere, because again the interstate boundaries are again blocked. So the supply chains were broken, and in this, I will say there is no work for you. So I am laying you off. But my the only condition which applies to me is, or the only pious duty which I have under the law is to pay the layoff compensation. Okay. Yes, Yogesh.
Yeah, I got it. One more parallel question to this, sir. As you
Yeah,
said, layoff in America is different and layoff in India is different. In
sure.
IT companies, most of them, under the pretext of layoff, they force you to resign.
Yeah.
Is it? I think it is not legal, right? Because they want to remove you, so they
Hmm.
should terminate you actually, right?
Yeah, yeah. Anything.
Then
You
they
are
force you
right.
to resign. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. You have pointed up, I mean, a very vital point and a very good one. And you see, in IT companies, what happened? IT companies, we have to understand one more thing: the demand and supply. Demand in IT company is more, is there, and the supply is more. Okay. So in demand and supply, suppose I'm working in Infosys, and the Infosys person says that I don't want your job. I say, okay, thank you. I go in and join another job. So the unemployment is less in IT sector. It's increasing now slowly and slowly. And when the unemployment is going to increase, or it will reach at its zenith, maybe after 10 years, then there will be unions in IT companies also. It has already started. Unionization in IT companies is already started. So what these IT companies do, instead of terminating him, they ask him to resign. And more, the candidates or the employees are more happy than not to resign. He says, okay, take my resignation tomorrow. I join another company. I have so many IT companies I represent. Hardly anybody is unemployed. This does not happen with the manufacturing sector. Manufacturing sector, you lose a job. Education wise, also they are a bit handicapped. There are multifarious jobs. Not every job requires intelligence. Some are just mechanical jobs. So people don't get jobs. And the unemployment scenario, all of you all must have seen it in newspapers. So once this is there, in IT, the game is altogether different because of the demand and supply ratio is different. In manufacturing, the demand supply ratio is again different. So, and you are right, there is nobody can be forced, but then they force people to resign so that they don't want hassles of labor law. Because if he is terminated, then somebody might take him to task in the courts of law. We have also, faced the music. Some of our employees, I represent IT companies, we are already in the courts of law. So all such things will happen. But then that the basis of your question is that, and my answer is demand and supply. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any other questions? Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. We're really very grateful to have you with us.
Yes,
And
thank you so
you've
much.
delivered a very insightful lecture. I'm sure all of the students have gotten a wide view about the topic, and also they've got more clarity about the career opportunities that are available in labor law and, as you said, employment laws. Thank you again for your valuable time. With this, I would also like to thank our coordinator, Advocate Dr. Chintamani Ghate, Principal Dr. Sunita Adab, Program Coordinator Dr. Ananya Bibbe, and Assistant Professor Manish. To thank the students for being so consistent and patient with the lecture series till today. So thank you so much. And with this, I conclude the lecture series. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.